start.
All right, yeah. So I am just gonna start. Okay, so there's a bunch that we've all been working on over the last couple of weeks. Like in the background, trying to get our governance structure in place, trying to get the organizational structure in place, figure out how we incentivize people to contribute, key partners to bring in. Obviously, you've all noticed there's like been some chair churn, if you will, and I know that might be, I don't know, for people who aren't in the loop. It can definitely, it's good that we're having this so that everyone is on the same page and knows what's going on. So yeah, let's just kind of get into it, I guess. So let's talk about like the organizational structure. So this is kind of how we've visualized it, and how we kind of expect the chain of information to work within the organization. So first of all, we want the divisions to be kind of like their own self-sustaining like organizational ecosystems that like the director and the people at the top controlling that, like they have a lot of agency, because we don't want we can't make every decision, and we don't want to, and we want to empower people within the divisions to do what they want to do and to contribute in the way that they can. And the director is really going to be like the CEO of that division in a way, your point of contact. They should be helping kind of set the agenda, getting executives within them to kind of like then delegate. There's going to be a lot more delegation to executives, and you'll see in these slides coming up. Each division is also going.
I don't mean to butt in. Sorry, I don't mean to butt in, but I've just noticed there's only 12 people watching like the stream aspect of it just now. So I think there's a good few folk that haven't actually clicked on to watch the live stream that you're kind of.
Oh yeah. Good call.
Just jump in and watch the slideshow if possible. I know if you may be on mobile and that might not be possible, but just as many as we can get.
True. And I'll put this slide, like we'll put these slides for everyone will be able to access them later too. But yeah, I am going through some PowerPoints, and it will probably help if you can see them. Okay, so there will be okay, so another thing that we're going to address, because there's 9 chairs, and on high-level decisions, we all vote, and the majority vote, and this is actually really, I think this is really good to prevent bad outcomes of like a couple people that just kind of like, rug pull type situation. Like there's just like so little chance that like that happens when there's 9 of us and we're all heavily invested. So I think like that decentralization is really good. But one of the downsides is it can be sometimes hard to make like executive decisions like in a timely manner. And so to address like this weakness in it, what we've all kind of agreed to do is we're going to have each division is going to have a chair that's also kind of assigned to oversee that division with the director, and between the director and that chair, they will be like major points of contact for anything that involves that division, right? And so if a decision needs to get made quickly, that it's not one of those things that you need to get everyone involved in, well, the director again and the chair are both empowered to kind of like make decisions like this on an executive kind of basis. Again, and there's discretion involved as to like, what kinds of things you can do. But yeah, that's kind of one way that we're going to try to address, get things moving a little bit faster. If people have ideas about projects they want to, take on and stuff, there should be going into the future, there should be a better streamline of information for you to figure out how you can do that, if you can do that, who can help you, and stuff like that. And that's what this is trying to kind of illustrate a little bit, is that there should always be, if you're an associate, there's going to be an executive that is like your point of contact in a way for it within your division. And then that executive will have very close relationship with the directors and the chairs that are for that division in like kind of helping, continue to decentralize this responsibility and agency. So we'll move on. So that's the organizational structure. And then there's also like kind of just the governance aspect of like who decides what, how do you get promoted, demoted, this and that and the other. So we've actually worked on drafting up like this. So what you're seeing now is a presentation form of an actual document that we have that goes into even more detail and is more formal. And that will be available for everyone to view. But this is just kind of like more visually easy to digest format. So just starting at the top, obviously we have a mafia boss, and that is for Syn City. And the organizational structure is more the chairs is the main locus of that, but we do need a mafia boss to handle the Syn City specific, like they need a point of contact, the person who's going to represent at the high table, and the round table is going to vote for that person, and they will come from the chairs. So in this case, we have Simba. So yeah, that's that. The chairs, now this is like kind of the juicy part / controversial. Everyone probably has an opinion on this. So the chairs, they sit at the round table, and we are the ones, like the idea is that we provide long-term vision, guidance, mentorship, high level like partnerships, policy decisions. These are just things that, like, even though I think all of us believe in the community, like having a large say in the direction, there's some things that just not everyone's going to be involved in and can be or are informed enough to be involved in, like partnerships and different policy decisions. So like it's important that we maintain like some specific things that the chairs are going to do, obviously, and it's a ton of work. Like I know for some of you, I understand from the outside, it can be like, you're talking to people here, there, and you're like, where are the chairs? What are they doing? Trust me, especially over these last couple of weeks, I mean, it's been a grind. Like we are doing a lot of work in the background, and I mean, I've specifically not been able to talk to as many people because I'm just like, there's just too much other stuff, like getting prepared for this, getting all this formalized, making sure that we stay ahead of everyone else. Because right now we are organizationally ahead of every other syndicate by a long shot. So I want to keep that advantage. And I know for some of you, again, depending on where you're at, you might think, are you kidding me? Like we have no organization. We have a lot of organization compared to what we had 6 weeks ago and what anyone else has right now. There is a timeline, and we are moving as fast as we possibly can. And the chair position is a very important role that takes a lot of responsibility and a lot of commitment. And that is why some of the chairs have stepped down completely on their own volition, because they just said, oh man, like there's so much going on. I wish I could contribute more. I need to be part of this, but I can't because of in real life commitments. So they've stepped down to allow other people who are more able and willing to kind of step into that role to do it. So the way that we're going to appoint new chairs is the roundtable is going to nominate candidates, because at the end of the day, we're working very closely with these people. There's just like, we can't not have a big say in who else comes in and like leads the entire organization with us. At the end of the day, the initial proposal was that, or like one of the ideas is that the council can nominate and then we can like veto if we don't like the decision. But to be honest, if you look at the reality of the situation, like that outcome would be controversial and like not good and not efficient. So a good compromise, and I did ask many of you one-on-one with no lead up, like what your preferences would be, and it was basically split between council nominates and then chairs can veto, or chairs nominate and then the council votes on the nominees. And again, it was basically split between it's my own sample. It's not scientific, but the idea is what we're doing now is much less complicated, much less like complicated organizationally, much more efficient, and it protects a little bit more against like disaster outcomes than the other one without costing much at all. And if the community feels like they are still being represented, then we're fine. Not everyone can vote on everything, but everyone can vote on who votes on everything. That's kind of the idea what we're going for. And again, not everyone's going to agree exactly with that, and there's always room to evolve, but this is what we're going with for now. So the directors, you all know kind of the directors at this point, like they are, again, they grow their division, they run it, and they work closely with the roundtable. They are there to keep especially the mentor chair, the one working that division, in a very tight information loop, basically co-teaming it. In order to get promoted to director, you get voted in by the roundtable. The executives within that division will be consulted, like majorly. And this actually already happened. This happened with finance and resource. We leaned heavily on people within that division to tell us who they thought would be good. And we basically kind of agreed and we put that forward. So this is not, the community is still going to be involved in ways other than literally casting a vote for people. We listen and we're happy to take, feedback. And so please give it, and that's all good. And again, they can get demoted, by the roundtable majority vote if we think that they need to be. So executives, okay, this is a big one. Executives, this is gonna get a major upgrade. If you're an executive now, expect to get given a lot more to do, have a lot more power, a lot more agency. Because we need you and we need to give more things for you to do to help. And I think a big if there's been restlessness and frustration at any point, it probably comes down to like, I'm trying to contribute and I don't know what to do. The organization wasn't there to get like tasks to everybody efficiently. And that is what we're working on and what I think we're really making tremendous strides in. So the executives are going to be a very, very, very key part in the organization. And they are going to work really closely with the directors and lead like sub teams that are made up of, other associates and rookies that happen to be in the division and et cetera. And they can get promoted to that position by the chair for that division or the director. And they can get demoted by the director. In all cases, if anyone gets promoted or demoted, like a rationale must be provided so that, that's just basic courtesy. You should there's no case in which you're just going to randomly be taking a role taken away and you're not going to be told why. Okay, so associates, again, this gets a little bit simpler. You're just getting further out. Associates are going to work with the executives to carry out like actual day-to-day tasks. Like there are things that are being done right now that the chairs are doing, that the directors are doing, that eventually we'd like to be able to pass off. And again, all part of the same goal here. So associates will be hopefully doing a lot more soon, and they should have a nice tight information loop with the executive that they work with. Again, it's important just that everyone knows where they can go. It's not just like a free-for-all. It's not just like pick the chair that's online and DM them. That's great when we had 100 people. It's not sustainable as we scale. So like it's important that everyone kind of like know who their go-to person is. And you can talk to your everyone should be able to talk to their directors and the chairs and stuff, and we'll figure this all out. As we'll give out that information and help you out there. Also, it's important that associates should be like trying to help rookies who are interested in being part of the divisions, interested in getting involved in the organizational part, help them out. That's an important part of the role. And you can be promoted by executive, someone can be promoted to associate. A rookie can be promoted to associate by an executive. And this is a big change, I guess, and important because, again, we're going to have lots of rookies coming in the future very soon, and then over time. And the directors and chairs aren't going to be the only one. Like we can't promote everyone and know what everyone's doing. So this is an important step in giving that power. Okay. So and the associates are also the first member of the organization, like the lowest rank, I guess, that is part of the DAO structure and the council, which is going to be very important. You'll see in a second. You're going to want to be an associate if you care about being like a part of the organization at all. And then rookies right now, they are just, again, it's kind of in this nebulous state. There's some that are just, they're joining, they're testing the waters. That's going to remain like kind of how it works right now. If they want to get involved, they can start to get involved in the division. And if they really start to contribute, like if you're a rookie and you're contributing, then we will be promoting you. Like that's just, to me, it's like if you're a consistent contributor and you're here for the long term, then you will be an associate. It might not happen tomorrow, take some time, but we will be doing a lot of promotions and demotions over the next couple of weeks, and there's a slide on that. So I've kind of already gone over this, so I'm not just going to read all this text. This is more just like this idea about the divisions, like what they mean. I've set up a JIRA. We are going to start actually at some point having a way to manage projects and track stories and stuff like that. Again, it's not that it's your job, you're going to clock in and out, but there just should be a place, a common repository where we know the projects we're working on, what needs to get done, who's contributing. It's just a good tool. So that just gives you an idea. Like this is where we're heading. We're trying to really, like if we do this right and we kind of nail this organizational structure and people really feel incentivized to contribute and do contribute, I mean, the sky's the limit for what we can do. And again, we're already ahead. So we bring more people, get more people involved and just keep going. Like we can all succeed massively together. And so these are all developments that are working towards that end. So the divisions are also going to get, this is long overdue, their own categories. Actually, you can kind of see them now. I created some potentially, but I'm like 20% done. There will be categories for each of the divisions. They'll have their own voice channels and text channels that won't be visible to just anybody. If you're having a meeting, people aren't just gonna be able to jump in, like who are from a different division, just be like, hey, what's up? Like, cause that is, that's annoying. So we're gonna have these kind of like things set up that you can be more productive and like keep the information in like a tighter, more efficient loop there. Okay, so this is like a really cool development that I'm super excited to talk about. So we obviously have, so the Size Matter campaign is going to result, and this is after IDO, I guess, that they'll release this information, but it's going to result in like rewards being doled out to the syndicates. And like I said, I can guarantee you, because I've had conversations with like the Rat King and others, they are not ready. Okay, we are ready. We have a vault, we have signature, we have multi-signature wallet that is, no one person can just decide what they feel like doing with all this money that really does belong to LATR and the overall syndicate. I have DMs from the Rat King asking how to set up a treasury, because it's going to go to him, and you're going to have 1,000 people that are all like, where's my piece? And have fun figuring that out once the money's sitting in your wallet. We got ahead of that. We have, we have multiple signatures, and we're probably, the signature holders are going to be chairs and people from finance and resource department. And it's going to take, for any money to move, it's going to take, 60% of the vote to move it. And then it'll take we're still working out different numbers, but basically it's decentralized process. And it's going to allow, hopefully, for us to move money when we need to in like daily operations, but without risking money disappearing, type of deal. So this is great. We already have it set up. People have the signatures. There's no money in it yet, but we're working on that, and it's going to come. And the nice thing is we addressed this before it happened, before shit hit the fan. So yeah, it's going to be used to purchase in-game assets. We might be doing there might be some capital raises coming that will help kickstart that. And we'll invest in the game, invest in metaverse assets to put LATR ahead. And again, this is something that we can massively use to differentiate ourselves and to really get above the competition. Let's see. Okay, I think, I covered everything there. Okay, so on to the purge, the org hardening, so what's happening now after all that I talked about the organizational structure. So we, from the beginning, have been talking about quality over quantity. And there's only so much you can live by that when there's a competition going on that's literally size matters and they just want you to be a big syndicate. So there was, obviously, everyone's aware, the elephant in the room, there was times where we were just getting people in, right? Because we wanted to win that competition. We wanted to be in the top 7. We were, and we're good. But now it's time to get serious. And there's some people that we all know, they just got to go because they haven't done anything. They're inactive. And if we're going to get to the point where we start rewarding people who are here because they've been contributing, then we need to know who deserves that and who doesn't. We don't want all the non-contributors diluting the contributors. So on the way is for contributing members that we're going to have incentives. There's going to be, literal just rank promotions, but there are going to be incentives coming. And if you're inactive and you're not contributing, sorry, you haven't earned anything, right? And I think we all agree. If everyone's here, you're probably a contributor in some way. And so I'm assuming everyone's on board with people who are not contributing, not being included in the same pool as you. So general advice to anybody who's feels scared about this: if you're not getting involved, just talk to your director, get in a division, find a way to be useful. Talk to your director. They should be able to help you. If you're actively trying really hard to contribute and there's no way to do it, then come talk to me. But I don't really think that's most people's big struggle at this point. And we'll be getting better as we go. So the directors, we got to trim, again, we have 450 people in the Discord. We got to trim that down because, again, I have no idea how many of those people are actually active or not. None of us do, right? So we're going to figure that out over the next 2 weeks, okay? And people who are not here, they're gone, and they're not getting anything. And because, that makes sense. So anyway, the directors are going to be given kind of the main source they're going to be the main driving force of deciding who is contributing in their division, who's not. We will get a list of executives. They will be they will be very core. And then together we will create lists of associates, and then on and on until we have a solid group that we can sit here and say every one of these people has shown that they are with us on the mission. They see the vision. They're willing to contribute, and they deserve to be, when LATR succeeds, they deserve some of that success, essentially. So we will be creating that list, and obviously in the process of creating that list, we will be demoting and kicking some people. Not everyone will be kicked just because they didn't make the list, but like that there is going to be a differentiator there, right? And they will go on a whitelist, and then for any remaining spots that we'd like to have like kind of open in the organization, there will be incentive other way, like people. It's not immediate. Like it's not like if you didn't make it, then that person's never. No, there's going to be a chance to prove yourself and to contribute still into the future, right? And so there'll be so people will be able to get added to that list, let's put it that way, over the next 2 weeks through different things. Again, contribute, come to events, participate in game nights, etc. So, and that leads to the juicy stuff. So how are we going to have a way to to know who is here, to know who deserves kind of some reward? We don't want to promise anything, obviously we can't, but there needs to be a way for us to recognize that, right? And we all feel that way. We would all like to know that there's some way in which our efforts are going to actually bear like fruit asset wise. So we are going to be creating an NFT collection, a very small one. The exact size is to be determined, but it's going to have to do with literally the size of like the organization. And we will be making free NFTs and giving it to those people that are on the whitelist. There will be future utility that comes with that NFT that is very likely going to be tied some way to the treasury, like how much revenue we can make. Like, again, no promises. We don't have the implementation exactly figured out, but the key is this will be our method of rewarding people for being part of the organization, or at least one of the methods, I should say. This is the first method that we're looking into. So again, this could include airdrops, perks when it comes to actually the in-game stuff. These are just ideas. But it is something to very much look forward to, hopefully, and also a way to be rewarded. And then down the line, as I spoke to this idea of a capital raise, we will be looking to make a premium NFT collection that we do sell. And again, a very small quantity, but it will contain the same utility as a free one, more of it, but like the same idea, right? And we don't know exactly what the price will be or exactly how many, but this is part of the roadmap. And it will help bootstrap the treasury. We'll be able to invest in, a lot of assets that will help like put us forward, right? And keep our spot at the high table. So that's pretty exciting. I'm sure many people have questions about that, but we'll move on for now. So just I want to try to break down like the idea, because we're growing really fast, right? I'm looking at this, and I hope many of you are, as a business, right? We're building a metaverse mafia as a business, as a DAO, right? There's going to be the size of LATR is going to just keep growing. We'll have thousands of people in a couple months, right? But not all those thousands of people are the same as you, me, they're not working for the organization. They're not building the infrastructure. They might be coming in and playing the game, using our assets, paying the taxes into our system. This is going to be this is a separate category of member than what you all are. So and I just informally said council member versus mobster. That's informal, but the point is there's a differentiation between these two. That inner circle, that is what all of you, all associates and plus are in that inner circle, right? And it's important that we have the distinction, because you're the ones who are going to be eating first, right? When we make money as an organization. So again, I'm not saying paid, I'm not saying this or that, but if there's rewards and incentives to give out, that is a category that you want to be in if you want those incentives. Everyone else will still benefit massively from our structure. They'll be able to access the community, utilize the GameFi mechanics that are set up in the game and set up through our treasury. They'll be able to, if there's like this idea of like using syndicate assets, they will have access to that, and they will receive perks for being in our syndicate in the game. So these are available to everybody who wants to be a part of LATR, right? But then there has to be a separate category for those like here now putting in this work to make this all possible. And so those people, again, they're gonna get all the above for just being here, but you're gonna get obviously greater access. You're part of the council, you're part of the DAO, which will be evolved into the future. It's going to keep evolving. Again, it's important to remember how new this is, right? And you're going to be eligible for these incentive programs that we push out over the course of time. Again, the amount that we've done in 6 weeks, like 2-3 months from now, it's like it's hard for me to even put a real roadmap. But the idea is, there's going to be some stuff developing, right? And there will be a difference between those outside that inner circle and inside of it. Okay, and then some other, we're getting close to the end, some partnerships. As most of you saw, probably, we were able to bring in, we were able to partner with CM Top Dog, who partnered originally with Syn City, saying like he would come in and bring a certain amount of users, bring a certain amount of engagement to the game. And they wanted him to have his own, like form his own syndicate, but he was like, that's a lot of work kind of idea. And so therefore we kind of made a partnership where he would join LATR. So he would be able to fulfill his part of the deal, bring in more people, help with the game, but he'll be doing it through our infrastructure. So that's a really big, that's big for us. And we're yet to even see the results of that, right? Same thing with Hustlepedia. I mean, different deal. Like there was no deal like that with him as far as I'm aware, but he's joined. And again, these are two big YouTube influencers that will probably help bring a lot of quality people hopefully in. And this is all that we're doing right now is setting up that infrastructure so that we can handle this load. And I think we're doing pretty well so far. And hopefully you guys can see that, we're not just sitting doing nothing. We're really trying to get this all set up. It's the non-sexy infrastructure stuff that has to happen first to enable all this other stuff, right? So those two things are waiting to pay off. We have Tugsy is an absolute beast and and can speak very well with the Turkish community, and he helps kind of bridge like this communication gap between them and Syn City. And in so doing, he has formed really good relationships there. And we were actually very close to like an official partnership, kind of having them become part of LATR, which I have to like, the Turkish community in crypto is absolutely massive. So like that will be huge for us. It was put like delayed a little bit because right when we were about to do it, Turkey, the government literally announced like some anti-crypto stuff that kind of like put things up in the air. But all to say, that's a partnership that's kind of like waiting in the wings for thousands and thousands of potentially dedicated like Turkish members to play the game under our flag, contribute to our syndicate. So that's huge. And we are currently in talks with another powerful gaming guild. We can't say the name of it because it's not official yet, but they have 4,000 plus members and very dedicated crypto game, like native to crypto gaming, started within the last year, grew to 4,000, own millions of dollars of in-game assets, right? And we are partnering with them we're in the final stages of a deal to basically have us them be feeders. Like they'll use us to play Syn City. And again, so that's also huge. I'm really excited till we can like say more officially about that. So all that led to this idea of we need a new role in the organization for leadership that's not like a chairman and they're not even like leaders, but they're advisors. They come in from other projects for partners, and it's a way to give them the transparency and the agency that they would have if they were in a leadership role, but without actually like needing to like literally be one of the chairs or be making decisions day to day, because they're obviously running their own things. But it will be a good way to form these partnerships and a good way to give them something for what they bring to the table. But again, they'll be much less hands-on than a chair. They won't become a chair, but they will have votes in certain large things. Again, this will all depend on what they bring to the table. But we need we needed some kind of role for that. And so that will be being created. And yeah, the last thing I'll say is, I've already touched on some of the text here. Basically, the musical chairs is going to stop soon, hopefully, or at least taper off. Like obviously at any point, if anything comes up and a chair has to step down, it happens. So it's not like it'll never happen, but I think we're getting to a point where we're moving. I mean, just as someone who was there 2 or 3 weeks ago and is here now, I'm telling you, we are moving so much faster now than we were 2-3 weeks ago. Like it's really getting good. Like, and we are going to start to be able to do a lot more than we were before. And that's all going to be due to you guys getting more involved as well and helping. And so I think we're on a very good trajectory with that. But I want, like, people need to understand, I think, that the chair is legitimately like almost a full-time job. Like I literally do not have a full-time job. I've probably spent like 16 of the last like 24 hours working on something related to this syndicate. And some of the other chairs have full-time jobs, and they are still doing that. Demon and Sham are in Singapore, and half the time when we're doing stuff like this, it's middle of the night for them, and they're still joining, they're still participating. So just try to be careful about judging like contributions just based on like if you saw their name in general chat. I can tell you personally, like I'll be the first to tell you if someone's not doing anything, but everyone in there is working really, really hard, and that's what's demanded, and that's why people have stepped down, because it's just it's a lot of work. It's worth it. I think all the chairs in there right now are still there because they believe all of this work is going to pay off for all of us, and they're committed to that vision. But it is not a joke. It is not like, oh, like I really like LATR and I get along with people, like I'll be a chair. Like get ready then, buckle up. Okay, so like I just want to put that out there. It's a very hard position, right? So not everyone wants it. And of course I'd say that, but I'm just telling you. Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know if I need to I think I already talked about all this. So that's